Welcome back. And obviously, we're talking about the human rights. And before going on to the break, so we talked about that how we need to expand the definition of human rights, because obviously rights are not just bestowed on the humans, they are also bestowed on the animals.
Yeah.
But we belong to a third world country, right, Shahzad? And we are a developing country, and we belong to a particular area where the human rights are not even fulfilled for the basic humans that are living here. So what to talk about the animal rights? But obviously, there are many organizations in Pakistan who want to expand or evolve the definition of this human right, and they want to work on the animal rights. And obviously, they might be facing this criticism that even basic rights are not met by the commoners or the masses there. So why are we talking even more about the animals?
But I think even in our religion, we've been actually told that we certainly cannot be cruel to the animals out there as well. And having said that, I think when we speak about animals over here inside the country, obviously from Karachi till north, there are a lot of organizations which have been working, but not just for animals as well. At the same time, they've been working for the well-being, for the welfare of the people as well. And such is an example of CDRS as well. And ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be Director of Media and Communications CDRS. He's Mr. Salman Rafiq. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. Good morning and assalamu alaikum to you as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. So Salman bhai, earlier, when I met him, because of, when we used to do different events, he used to play drums for Mr. Atif Aslam as well and all of those top leading bands, but now all of a sudden, he's changed the course of his actions as well, and now he's making sure that he's going to help people, animals, whatever comes his way. So just to kind of talk about briefly that, that when we last talk about, human welfare projects which were taking place under CDRS, let's talk about it a little in the first place that, what have you contributed and how have you contributed, and then we'll come down to support for CDRS Animal Welfare Project.
Right, excellent. So obviously, I think the last time that we met, the last time I was at this show was close to about a year ago.
Yeah.
And a good part of that year, 2022, was...
there was COVID, post-COVID, all of those things.
Absolutely. Not to mention the extremely devastating, unprecedentedly devastating floods of 2022. And that just devastated Pakistan, the entire country. And so I'd like to mention what CDRS was doing in about 26 districts across all 4 provinces. Our teams were immediately deployed, and we were on the field, on the ground, trying to help out as much as we could. And that approach was in phases. The first phase obviously was rescue and just bringing to a place of safety to people who had been affected by the floods and were stranded. So whatever we could do, sometimes in places where there was a lot of water and we did not have boats to reach far-flung areas and to reach the people, some of whom were at the roofs of their houses with water up to their necks. So we had to fashion things like charpais and put tractor tires, inflated tractor tires under them and to take them out to get people, evacuate them to safety.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. it's when you're out in the field, anything that you are able to do.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
It is indeed. So from that point of view, setting up community kitchens and doing medical camps and things of immediate need, rations, clean water.
How many lives do you think CDRS might have touched?
It's really hard to say, but it will have exceeded.
We're sharing the images as well.
Right.
So, continue doing that. So, we are talking now about the animals, right? And obviously, working on the welfare of the animals. And we have seen that the stray animals, they're obviously a source of public concern and health safety, because a lot of time we often hear this discourse on the social media and on the news too, that how their rabies is being spread by the dog bites and stuff like that. So, protecting those animals out on the streets, which are unhomed, which are stray, what is the challenges that you face in your organization?
The first challenge is actually a lack of understanding as to what it is that has given rise to this problem. So quite clearly we have an overpopulation of stray animals within the country. And we have to understand that these are not wild animals. Dogs, cats, horses, donkeys. Horses and donkeys are actually service animals.
True.
And dogs and cats are domesticated.
True.
Dogs may have come from wolves, but they are domesticated. And for us to turn them out onto the streets has given rise to them reproducing and multiplying, and then they're not cared for. they become scavengers, obviously, and then because they are prone to diseases, rabies, as you mentioned rightly, is one of them. And then it's either people mistreating them.
True, that's true.
Or, rabid dogs obviously are, they have behavioral issues, and then they are known to bite children. What we need to realize is that the answer to that is not to kill, shoot, poison these animals.
Okay.
But one of the ways that we are tackling this, which is a tried and tested mechanism, which has been tried by Turkey over 20 years, and they've curtailed the problem.
True.
And speaking about Turkey brings us to the devastating earthquake that has happened there. Our best wishes and condolences to those who lost their lives. But TNVR, which is trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release. That's the mechanism by which I think we can solve the problem in an Islamically permissible, ecologically sound, and effective mechanism. So what we do is, we take an area, we bring all the dogs to our facility and spay them if they're female or neuter them if they're male, and take them back to what they know of as home. Because you see, if you supplant dogs from a territory, dogs from neighboring territories will come and try to aggressively establish their territory.
Exactly.
Which gives rise to that problem of biting. And once neutered animals are brought back to their place, they become docile. They're not aggressive, and they're not diseased. Because when we had brought them into our system,
so deworming, injections,
if there was a precondition that we would treat them for.
I think it's wonderful, Salman bhai, but while we were speaking about it as well, so TBR, I think that's a wonderful concept. But having said that, I think I would want to kind of address the issue of releasing again. So imagine that, God forbid, if one day the government thinks that, okay, that the population is actually increasing and we certainly need to get rid of this problem. I think what they'll do is that they'll shoot the dogs as well. So don't you think that, for all of that medication which has been given to that particular animal, you've trapped them, you've vaccinated them, and now you've released them, they will still be vulnerable, because that will certainly not fulfill the goal CDRS had, because your goal is that they have the right to live and they should live whenever, Allah wants, till the time Allah wants them to live, right? So God forbid if you're going to release them just because you might not have that facility for now to kind of look after them, that's a question too, if you want to kind of speak about it. But don't you think it will make them more vulnerable, and one day if the government thinks about it that the population is too high, because nobody's going to think whether they are aggressive, whether they are docile, whether they are not. They'll be like, okay ji, hukam aa gaya, maro ji.
And we've seen this sort of behavior in a lot of posh societies too, where they've actually killed the dogs. So how do you engage those societies and make sure that they have the humanized approach to tackling this problem of animal welfare?
Absolutely. I think this is a very, very valid question and very astutely put. I think there's a multi-pronged approach to the solution.
Okay.
One thing, of course, is like developing an understanding, not only with people of different communities, different areas, but also with the government, and that is something that we have been doing with the government departments, with the administrations, CDA and LDA, the DC office and everything. So we have been trying to institute this mechanism in place of the shooting poisoning mechanism.
Okay.
That's one thing. The other thing is that any animal that has been through our system needs to be tagged or needs to be very visually, they should look like a dog that has been treated. And that information has to be passed on to people beforehand.
Exactly.
If you see dogs like that, they have been treated.
Are you chipping those dogs? Just like we get that chip, in a dog collar as well, just, when we speak about a pedigree dog.
Right. So it's an idea that is under the works.
Okay.
But there are different things. First of all, I think that there is still some time before we can institute something like that in place, because it costs a lot also.
Okay.
And right now our focus is on trying to treat as many animals as possible.
Okay.
And our the number of animals that we are able to look after would significantly decrease if...
Yeah, and there was a reason why I asked you this question, because you did mention about CDA and LDA, which means that, that the project is in Lahore too as well, it's in Islamabad as well. So imagine that whenever, and you spoke about how, you've always been in collaboration with the DC office. So what we can do is, or probably the DC office can do, is that probably all they would need is a scanner, and God forbid if they are on such a drive where they really need to get rid of all of those dogs or probably other animals who can actually be harmful towards humans, all they would need to do is trap, scan, And if they're scanned, that okay, you know, and if they get the verification that okay, the dog has actually been vaccinated or dewormed or whatsoever, they can release the dog again.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We are still a little ways away from it.
Obviously,
but
it's costly.
It is costly.
Yeah.
But hopefully, with more support and through your platform, through your show, I've actually it's made a big difference. The last time we were here, a number of people came in our support, and thank you very much
and
for
we
that.
would certainly want to do it again as well, you know. So please go ahead, you know, look into the camera, talk to people, to all of your donors, thank them, say whatever you want to say to them.
I certainly will. But to answer that particular question, I think that over the entire country, we need to have this message. People should tell people.
True.
And
Right.
I think one of the things that we have noticed is if you teach hatred, then hatred will be widespread.
True.
If you
Right.
teach love, then love will be widespread.
True.
One of the things that children don't understand is that if they'll see a stray dog, that dog is minding its own business. They'll pick up a stone and throw it just for spite or because they don't know any
True,
better.
true.
But they don't realize that if that stone hits and creates a small lesion, the dog will be irritated and then scratch it.
True.
Pretty soon it's a bigger wound and it gets infested with maggots.
Right.
And those maggots, it's the equivalent of being eaten alive,
Oh
very, very slowly and painfully.
Right.
So, you know, stop
Yeah,
doing that. It does not. One of the good things about our project, our Benji project, which is what the Animal Welfare Project is called.
Exactly, and in addition to that, you know, I would request to all of those dogs who are out there as well. If I'm going on a bike and if you chase me, please don't do that because that will actually scare me a lot
You
as
see,
well.
it's a behavioral thing. But
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. I think it's because
you know,
those dogs are creating territory.
Because I
that's
have
why
a
they're
solution for
aggressive.
that too as well. You know, for all of those people who are actually scared of the dogs while you're going on the bike, and then, you know, it kind of pushes you to pick up a stone or something or throw at them as well. Ladies and gentlemen, if you stop your bike, they will stop too. You know, they wouldn't really chase you, they wouldn't come towards you as well. And then I've seen, I think it's not just about how, you know, animals are behaving, but I think at the same time, I've seen a lot of people who are literally very psychotic about, you know, as soon as they're going to see any stray dog, they're going to throw a stone, or probably they would just do that. I think that their parents really need to look after them. I think their parents really need to educate them that, you know, they certainly can coexist. We all can coexist. That's why we are human beings and they are animals.
That's right. And you see, in fact, that is what sets off this retaliatory behavior. If you are aggressive towards something, a living being, the general reaction would be to show that back.
Exactly. So
Absolutely.
now I think we're going to give you a moment to go talk to your donors as well, people who are listening who might not be a part of CDRS as of now. How can they become a part? How can they donate? Please go ahead.
Absolutely. So I think over the course of 17 years of CDRS, remember it's an organization that was formed in 2005 at the time of the earthquake. So very recently we celebrated 17 years of success, of service to our great nation of Pakistan, and to expansion of all of our projects. It has been, I mean, we were the people who were on the ground doing all the work, but it was everybody across the world who were our donors and are our donors, and your numbers are increasing, alhamdulillah. I want to really thank you very, very much for your support, for your constant engagement with us, and whether it's any of our projects, the more than 700 water projects across the country, or whether it's the House of Blessings for Widows and Orphans, where the last time that we spoke, there was one in Pindi, and ever since, because of its success, over about 3 years, there's the second House of Blessings, which has opened its doors in Karachi.
MashaAllah.
And also the Benji project that we spoke in length about. It's a nationwide issue that we have to address, but we have to address it in an Islamically permissible and humane way. Otherwise, remember, we as a nation will not be blessed by Allah if we are cruel to its, the weakest of the ecosystem.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Salman Bhai, for being with us.
so
Lovely
much.
to be in conversation with you, and for each and every one of you who are actually out there, who've been following this journey of CDRS. Sunil, the founder, Todd Shah himself, he couldn't make it today. So Todd, get well soon because you had migraine today. But this gentleman came down to Pakistan in 2005, looked at people, and he stayed back. He never went back. Now he's got a wonderful baby boy. He's married over here in Pakistan as well, and he's making sure that he's going to dedicate his life for the welfare or the well-being of the people of Pakistan. So Todd, thank you so much for giving us CDRS. Thank you so much for all of those projects which you have undertaken to help humanity and to make sure that you're going to work towards the well-being of the people of Pakistan, not just Pakistan, outside Pakistan as well. So thank you very much, CDRS, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation. Hajra, you want to say something?
Yes, so one last thought before we wrap up. Obviously, animals do not have a voice. They could not speak us to us directly, and that is why I think that they are the marginalized of the marginalized segment in our society, because they are not looked after well. And I think we were talking about the Turkey. Turkey is one of the, I think, most feral-loving country in the world, and the cats there so look after well, and they are so territorial about that particular area because they are loved by the people there. And I think we need to develop the same ethics over here in Pakistan. So until next time, it's a goodbye. Allah Hafiz and good morning.
Have a great day.